Hello from Topeka. I'm Marley Carpenter, your KSCPA lobbyist. On Thursday, the legislature adjourned for turnaround and will return on Wednesday, February 28th. Committees met Monday and Tuesday of last week, leaving the rest of the week for debating and passing legislation on the floor. Any non-exempt bills that did not pass the House of Origin or get blessed by leadership are dead for this year. Both House and Senate tax committees are exempt committees. So any bills that are referred to that committee or originate in that committee are exempt and can be acted upon any time during the legislative session. When lawmakers return on Wednesday, they only have 5 weeks to finish all business for the year. First adjournment is scheduled for April 5th, followed by a 3-week spring break before veto session, which begins on April 29th. The big news of last week was that the House did vote on Governor Laura Kelly's veto of the Republican-backed tax plan. House Bill 2284 was voted on by both the House and Senate, and Governor Kelly vetoed it. The House has had 30 days to override the veto before it was dead. The House did take up the veto override before they adjourned for their turnaround deadline. The final vote on the veto override was 81 to 42, which is 3 votes short of the 84 votes needed. Republicans have a supermajority in both the House and Senate. However, 5 Republican legislators voted against the override. Tuesday's vote did shock many who expected better odds of getting the override in the House than in the Senate. It is not clear what Republican leadership's plan B for tax cuts is this year, but there is more talk about a 2-rate income tax structure instead of a single rate that the governor opposes. There are also discussions about sending the individual tax cut provisions to the governor's desk as opposed to a comprehensive tax plan. In addition to taking up the governor's veto, the House did take up the unemployment insurance reform. They passed the unemployment insurance reform bill, which is House Bill 2570, unanimously last Tuesday. The bill makes several changes to the House unemployment program, which has a $1.4 billion balance in the trust fund. The bill now heads to the Senate Commerce Committee for their consideration. The bill, as proposed, would cut positive balance employers' tax by 50% and include a one-time forgiveness for negative balance employees starting in 2026. House Bill 2685 was heard in the House Taxation Committee this week and provides a sales tax exemption to all 501c3 nonprofit organizations determined to be in good standing with the Secretary of State. There are many sales tax exemptions each year that the legislature must consider, and this is a blanket overhaul of that system. The bill is exempt and can be acted upon after the turnaround deadline. Finally, House Bill 2465, which is the SALT parity bill, did pass out of the Senate Tax Committee last week to be worked on the Senate floor after the turnaround deadline. Thank you to Alan Gibson Hulick for testifying in support of this measure last week. The technical amendments that were agreed to by the industry and the Kansas Department of Revenue were adopted, in addition to work opportunity tax credit amendments, business interest deduction amendments, net operating loss carryback amendments relating to the CARES Act, and an amendment to disallow the subtraction modification on the employee retention tax credit. Again, the bill now goes to the Senate floor for debate. This week, the House and Senate will return on Wednesday for a very light week of committee and floor action, where the second half of the legislative session will begin. We will keep you updated on all of these issues and many others. If you have any questions, please contact myself or Danielle at the KSCPA office. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you next week.